So, what is a ghetto? It's actually a part of an area or a city where members of a minority class live, specifically because of social, legal, or economic pressure. The concept was introduced in 1939 by the Nazis to forcibly keep the Jews separated from the others. But in the 21st century, ghettos have become a pseudo safe haven for certain communities where they've built up walled cities, quasi states, so they don't have to live in fear amongst the other communities.
Although there are a number of ghettos in India, for example the Dharavi Hindus or the Gharkopar Gujaratis, the widely spread ghetto ought to be the Muslim community. The Mumra in Maharashtra, Juapura in Ahmedabad is one of the largest Muslim ghettos in India. The emergence of this was due to the communal violence because of which the Muslims had to leave their home to seek refuge in another city or a state.
Most of the ghettos are portrayed as uncivilized, unemployed, uncultured people driven by violence and crime, but this is due to mass media and popular culture, which has stereotyped the image of a ghetto. And this serves as a powerful source of prejudice and discrimination against them. To those who are not used to ghettos, ghettos seem to be a place to seek shelter. But look at it from the perspective of those inside the ghettos. They have to constantly live in fear in their workplace, in schools, in public places, but the ghetto is their home, it's their safe zone. So even if some of them have the means and resources to move out and live amongst the elite, they don't, because they would rather feel safe in a secure environment than experience the luxury in a dangerous one.
To understand the impacts, we go to Juhapura, where multiple incidents involving communal violence has led to the displacement of Muslim individuals, and many of them were left with no choice but to be resettled in colonies maintained by the Muslim charities. Over the years, more and more middle-class Muslims have started settling into Juhapura due to lack of security in Hindu-dominated regions. Housing more than 4 lakh Muslim residents, it represents a locality which includes IAS officers, lawyers, businessmen, regardless of their qualification and opportunities, who choose to remain with the people in the ghetto.
At least they have a place of their own to stay. But Banu, a young boy who lives with his mother, begs to differ. He said, "We are very grateful for this house, but we die a little every day here. The smoke, the smell, the rubbish, the lack of facilities. We have thought about moving, but where can we go?"
The Disturbed Areas Act of 1991 is a law restricting Muslims and Hindus from selling properties to each other in areas of interreligious conflict. Years later, in 2009, this was amended, and now 40% of Gujarat is governed by the same law, and it provides more power to the local officials and more oversight. They say that this was done in hopes of protecting Muslims. And this led to the current state-sanctioned witness protection program of Juhapura, aka Lil Pakistan. From no bus service to the city, no developments to the infrastructure, and compensations to the victims that can definitely explain the 4.3 billion rupees which was issued by the central government, the state government had done their part. Thus, we come to the current state of affairs. The severe lack of roads, drinking water, education, healthcare, and an invisible cage made by walls and railway roads erected by neighboring localities. The laws which have been engineered to keep Muslims confined to the filthiest corners of the state with no hope of betterment.
Another effect of ghettos in general is the loss of opportunities. Despite being rather well qualified, countless residents do not move from the ghettos to a locality elsewhere, where their talents would be of better use to them and to the society. This is a loss to such people, organizations, and to the society in general, which could have made better use of such talents. Thus, ghettoization has business and societal impacts.
So far, we have heard of what ghettos are and how they impact both business and society. The common stereotype associated with ghettos does nothing more than promote more stigma among people. Stigmatized people stick together for want of support of a community. Thus, there is an urgent need to understand that those staying in ghettos are different from those in the city, mainly because one side has been born discriminated against, be it on the basis of caste, class, or religion.
One of the measures that could be taken to reduce such stigma can be inclusion programs by business organizations that ensure that those from the ghettos are given equal opportunities, just like everyone else. The stigmatization of ghettos leads to loss of opportunities for those inside and loss of talent and skill to those outside. Such inclusivity programs would add to the diversity in any organization, giving more perspectives. Statistics tell that diverse teams are 87% better decision makers than an individual. Thus, policies by business organizations can play a major role in decreasing the stigma in the society. However, people tend to stay together for the sake of a community. After all, there is strength in numbers, isn't there? Thus, providing opportunities to a few here and there might not bring about much change. Here is where the government involvement begins. A few steps to include those in the ghettos by the development of the ghetto area will provide those in the ghettos a means to not be alienated by those accustomed by the heavy city life. Expansion of a city might also give more opportunities to a business organization, and making a rule of involvement of the people living there in such expansion would be beneficial to all. However, over all this, everyone should consciously make an effort to rid ourselves of the stigma that has already taken root in us. Education from the grassroots level to ensure that the rooted stigma is not developed further is necessary. Every human being is deserving of respect and dignity. This is an ideal that needs to be taught at the very lowest level of education and must be absolutely ingrained in our society. Only then can widespread change take place.